And we're back. Welcome back, everybody. I know it's been a month since the last upload. We have been absolutely swamped with work here. I'm excited to get back into the YouTube. This is the stand craft that we varnished a couple of videos ago. You guys will remember this one was sitting in the back area. We're still doing a little bit more work on it, but I had a ton to do on this one. I actually just made a short using the back of the boat. That got up to like 73,000. Thank you guys so much for the support on that. It's really awesome. Ideally, at some point in the future, we'd like to have the YouTube be a larger part of what we do here. So as the following gets bigger, as more people watch and we start making some profits back from it, we might actually pivot to doing more YouTube videos in the future. But as for right now, I have to kind of focus on getting the customer jobs taken care of before I start thinking about the YouTube. But I'm happy to be back. We get super busy in the summertime, so that is a huge part of it. So let's jump right back to where we were last time. Just kidding. We're gonna go take a little tour next door. So I wanna show you guys something before we get started on RatSync. I gotta turn the lights on in here. That's better. So this is really quick. I wanna show you guys this one. This is the gravette that we're working on. We're doing the hull sides on it. I have a video in progress on this boat. So I started filming when it showed up here on a trailer, and I have not stopped filming up to this point. I'm gonna continue filming until it is fully built and restored, and then I'm gonna edit that video. It's probably gonna take me at least a week to get that one edited. There is a lot of footage. I wanna make sure I'm giving you guys a high quality video. So that'll be really awesome to watch. You'll be able to see this boat show up in the condition it's in and leave the shop in brand new condition, all in one video. So I thought that would be really cool to show you guys. Keep in mind too, jobs like this are gonna be going through the shop while we work on RatSync. I only work on RatSync half the day on a Friday. Sometimes I miss a Friday. So you can imagine if we're working full time on it during the week, the amount of work that we get pumped out through the door during the week is definitely a lot more than what I can just do on a half day on a Friday. But anyways, I just want to show you guys the gravette, the progress of it. So he just put the stain on, and I believe it looks like he might have just put on the first layer. Yeah, he did, the first layer of varnish. We're gonna keep this one updated as we go. Now, this is the Capri that I am working on during the week. Now, this boat is absolutely gorgeous. It's very similar looking to the Cobra. If you guys remember the Cobra, that video is right here. It looks a lot like the Cobra, except of course this is the more mainstream Chris craft that they had produced at that time. Now the reason we're doing the planking on this one, you can see it's got some good color to it. The water actually damaged the wood in quite a few places. So if you look, you can see what I mean by that. You see that big bulge. And of course that led to other issues like the wood splitting, stuff like that. So I'm doing a replacement deck on the boat. The hull sides are fair, so we're gonna leave them and resurface them, but that is this Capri right here. So I'm doing a number of interesting things on this restoration wise, and I thought maybe I might show you guys this as we go along. And if you guys are interested in seeing the work done on this Capri, I could probably do a second series on this one. I know I promised you guys a more classical version of the restoration instead of the rat rotting that we're doing next door on RatSync. But some interesting things include the fact that this deck has been done a number of times over the years, and so we have made a couple modifications to raise the covering boards up a little bit. We're gonna hide all this here with this trim. We're gonna get this nice and clean. So this will be a really interesting boat to see get worked on. For example, the decks right now, I'm starting on the blonde section. This boat, of course, has blonde right here, which is essentially just that yellow wood over there. So that's just bleached mahogany with a yellow stain on top of it. But this is the fresh wood that we are putting in there, and I'm building the planks for it right now as we speak. So you can see what we're doing is, of course, book matching it, where you slice a piece of wood down the middle and you split it open and you get this nice look. So we got some more wood coming for it right now, but we are going to be building the rest of this. And yeah, there's lots of fun little things with this one. I think the customer wants to do like a custom dash in it. We're doing a new interior in this boat. And we might even be taking this engine out and putting something else into it. Now, if you've been in the wooden boat community for quite some time, you are going to start to notice a trend where people are deviating away from the exact particulars of how the boat was made, when it was produced, and it can only be this way. And they're leaning toward more of the custom side of things. And of course, if you've watched the channel up to this point, you completely understand that I am all for people having custom this and custom that and enjoying themselves with the boats. I don't think that it should all just be how it was made. That's how it is. Let's not do anything else. Because ultimately the enthusiasm behind keeping it specifically OEM is dying out, and to get the new generation and people who've never had boats excited about wanting to own a wooden boat, we need to be offering more fun for them. We need to be offering some excitement to it. And as cool as these old boats are, not every single one of them has to look identically the same. There can be some stylistic choices involved. There can be some artistic design involved with it as well. It doesn't have to be a cookie cutter of every single one. So when we put in a hopped up engine, when we put in a custom interior, it is going to look absolutely superb in this boat. It's going to look gorgeous. I'm very excited to see how that looks. And it's going to be special. It's going to be a one-off, and it's going to mean something of real importance to the owner of this boat. And isn't that what matters? Doesn't it matter that the owner of the boat enjoys the boat itself and that he has fun and he enjoys his time in the boat? And if you think about the car community, it's the exact same thing. You don't see only cars being done only since they were in factory. You see a lot of different customization. You see a lot of different avenues of car design. You see hot rods, you see rat rods, you see street builds, all sorts of different vehicles coming from one vehicle that was released at one point. They aren't sticking to the exact OEM. Of course, there are those people in the car culture, but that's not the majority of it. So next time you see a custom wooden boat, make sure you go up to that person and tell them how much you love that boat, because we're trying to encourage the community. We're trying to bring people together, and we're trying to keep these boats alive. Let me ask you this question. Would you rather see this boat with some custom work on it, or lying rotting in a field because nobody cares about it anymore? Because I tell you what, I want to see this thing absolutely customed out to the max that it can possibly be, because that's where the fun in life is. So anyways, enough of my rant. Let's head back over doors there and take a look at Rat Sink and pick up where we left off. Now it looks like this is dried pretty good. We have the epoxy in there. We have the 5200. I might have to fill just a little bit of it because of course gravity slowly drips it down. So maybe we'll fill up a little bit of that, maybe sand it, make it a little bit more flush, but it is incredibly solid. This is all 5200 in this area to keep it from leaking. We have epoxy up in here. This is incredibly solid compared to how it was when we first took a look at it. So we've improved the strength on this. And of course, now we're working on installing the rest of this piece here. So what I'm gonna do, last video I had begun the installation on this one. I put the fasteners into it. It is more or less held in place. I have to put maybe a couple more in some areas, but I'm gonna do that to this side, get this one put in place. I can fasten this all together, and then we can turn our eyes back to the end of this. Keep in mind, I forgot to build this crossover frame and this crossover frame. So I gotta make those really quick, and then we just have a little bit of tuning to do on these frames to make sure that they are contacting this point. Aside from that, once those little things are taken care of, we are going to begin working on the battens. So that is the next step, the natural next step to this, which is going to be setting up the router. You saw nothing. Which is going to be setting up the router, cutting out the grooves in the frames, and then putting the battens in. Once the battens are installed, then we start putting the bottom on. So like I said, it's going to be really quick here once we get going. This has just been a massive amount of work for what amounts to a tiny little bump in the back of the boat. So I'm going to get started on that, and I'm not going to waste your guys' time. So let's jump into the future. After this has been installed, those have been made, and those have been tuned. All right, I got that half of the frame in. I have it installed, it's all drying. There's some paint on there. Paint makes me the 5200 applicator I ain't. And I have some paint on some other areas as well as where the screw heads are. Keep that all nice and dry. I have the other two frame pieces made up as well. I'm not gonna bore you guys, like I said, they are currently drying over there. Those are made, just built them. So the next thing to talk about and discuss is we are going to tune the frames in this boat. We're gonna set each one at the proper height and try to get this ready so that we can start shaping the frames to the right height. Now keep in mind, if you look here, none of these frames are actually parallel or level. The only thing I was concerned with was making sure that this height and this height were lower than this piece so that I can, shave it down to the right height. Now let's discuss something rather important about the bottom of these boats. Something that I haven't really mentioned yet, but is kind of a big concern that we have to be really careful of when we go to set and tune all of these frames. Let's use this Chris Craft Riva as an example, which, by the way, I don't know if I've shown you guys this Chris Craft Riva. Super cool boat. Look at this. It has headlights like a car. Look at that. This is actually, I believe Riva and Chris Craft made this in conjunction together out in Italy. So this is an Italian-made boat. Really pretty. Probably gonna do a video on this one to show this one off to you guys. But let's talk about something about the function of bottoms on boats here. So typically most of these will be designed where 8 to 6 feet of it is completely flat and level. And that's very important because if you have a hog that sticks out this way, so let's imagine it's flat and then it dips down and comes back up. What's gonna happen is when you're on the hard water and you're going really fast, it's gonna pull the boat down. So you might not be able to get onto plane. Now, getting onto plane, if you're not familiar, is the term when the boat is going really quickly and it's up just a little bit, and it's like, you think of like a razor blade cutting the water. You wouldn't hold it flat, you'd hold it at a bit of an angle. So that's what on plane is. So it's not flat, it's just up a little bit. So again, if you have a hog sticking out this way, it can cause drag and make the nose of the boat dive forward. On the flip side, if it's straight here for a couple of feet and then it goes up, it's gonna do the exact opposite and it's gonna porpoise. It'll do the exact opposite and it'll start porpoising. Because as it's going, it's impacting that little cove and it's hitting it in the water and the boat will start skipping and juddering. So it's really important, really, really important that either 6 to 8 feet roughly of it is completely flat, completely straight. Now, of course, if you take a look at Rat Sink, you can see the issue. We have a little porpoise hog right here. So what I need to be able to do is count from about 8 feet or 6 feet, let's go for 6, and count to about, however that is, let's say it ends here. You can see right here, there's just a tiny little dent. I have to fix that. Because if I don't, again, this boat's gonna start skipping, so that's really important. So the first thing I'm gonna try to do is set these by putting shims in them, whatever I can to get that as straight as possible, and then we can begin planing down the top surface. So I have the tape measure set up, which is definitely mine, and that's definitely my name on the side of it. Don't ask any more questions. And you can see here, 8 feet is marked out right about there. I also marked out 6 feet right about here. And let's go see where that hog is. So you can see, unfortunately, you can actually see it with the tape measure. The hog, the worst of it, is right here. And this is the 6 feet mark, and that's the 8 feet. So we do have to get rid of that, but man, I mean, keep in mind, this tape measure is probably dipping a little bit too. Look at the gap here. Look at that. Now it's greatly improved since the first time we ever worked on it, but that does have to be rectified. I hope you guys appreciate how much work I put into these videos, because even something like putting this tape measure up by myself, laying it on here, that wasn't very easy. Oh no. So I'm going to introduce a new segment to my videos called Tune That Hog. So the goal with the ruler is to make sure that the points running across here are completely flat. So that's all I'm doing. I'm just making sure that it's flush right here, and then it's flush, of course, on this angle. And then most importantly, if I take a measurement here, it will be flush from this point to this point. You can imagine it would stick out just a little bit, but it would be a straight line there, and it would be a straight line there at the different sections. So that's all I'm doing. I have quite a lot of that to do. It's going to take quite a lot of time before we get this thing set and tuned and set up properly, but we do have it fastened down, and I do have these additional pieces in place. So that's pretty exciting, and with those pieces in place, it's already looking a lot flatter. So we are getting pretty close. I also put some epoxy into all of these little spots here so that that can be filled up. That, of course, being the carriage bolts holding these frames in place. So we're getting really close. I have a little bit more work to do, but next video, make sure you guys come and watch that one, because next video we are actually going to be setting this up for battens finally. I know I've been teasing it for quite some time, but that will be the start of the batten video. So this next little week or so here, I'm going to be doing more behind the scenes work on this. There's lots of tiny little details I have to get just right before we do the final work on the battens. Thank you guys so much for watching today's video. I know it's been a while since I uploaded, and we didn't do a whole lot of work in this video. It was mostly just me talking, but I appreciate you guys watching nonetheless. If you learned something, if you want to see more of our content, make sure to check out our channel. You can subscribe there. It really helps us out. But until next time, see ya.